So this next topic is because North Georgia Annual Conference recently allowed for disaffiliations to take place. More than 100 churches disaffiliated from the United Methodist Church, even though paragraph 2553 expired at the end of last year. That was the disaffiliation provision. The annual conference there made a new provision utilizing, I believe, paragraph 2549, where they just close the churches and sell them back to the populations. And they allowed a ton of their churches to go. They're now a fraction of their former self, less than half. If I recall, North Georgia has had a huge number of churches disaffiliate between this last batch and a couple before. Excuse me. This headline today is quite incredible. It has to do with Byron Church. Now, Byron Church was one of the churches that disaffiliated last week. It's listed here. Byron UMC had their vote measured to depart, average attendance of 162. This is a larger church so far as I'm concerned. This is a short article. Man arrested in Byron Church arson, police say. They say the man was arrested in Columbia County, is being transported back to Peach County. Here's the article written by, does it have Peach Crawford? Is that a name or is that a place? It says author 13W Maz staff. Okay, so you can, I don't know who this is. A man has been arrested for intentionally starting a fire at a church in Byron on Tuesday night, according to a press release by the local police department. They say Luke Westfield was taken into custody in Columbia County for allegedly setting at least 2 fires at the church building on West Heritage Street. Police Chief Wesley Cannon told 13W MAZ that one of his officers was on patrol Tuesday night when they smelled fire around 11:45 p.m., which they eventually tracked down to the church. While a fire was set in the sanctuary pulpit, it had burned itself out. But when the officer and Byron Fire arrived, Cannon says the office building was engulfed. However, they say the investigation into the arson is still ongoing. If you have any information, they want you to call them at 478-956-2493. So if you know anything about Luke Westfield, any collaborators he would have, any motivations he would have had, you know, I always get frustrated with people when they jump to conclusions, you know, just based on who the victim is or who the perpetrator is. You can't, I mean, there's nothing in this article to indicate a reason or rationale for the man burning down the church. Now, would it be illogical or crazy to suspect that it had something to do with their recent disaffiliation? It is probably reasonable to suspect that it has something to do with it. Now, there are all kinds of crazy people in the world, and you can't judge a whole group by its crazies. I've read another article about a church secretary and pastor getting threatened and sexually harassed by someone who is very frustrated with them disaffiliating. But you better believe there have been people who wanted their church to disaffiliate and didn't get their way and behaved despicably as well. I haven't heard of an arson, though. This is a whole other level. And of course, this is something that happens from time to time, even in our country, where people light fire to a church either because they really hate it, or I've also seen there be, it's worth considering, I've seen hoaxes where people spray paint a church with like swastikas and stuff, and then it turns out it was a local gay dude that just wanted to build sympathy for the gay population, or whatever group is seen as being persecuted by this act. So until more facts are released, you really can't jump to conclusions, but you do have to just mourn for this church that has been already gone through a hard time and gone through trial, and yet, I mean, it's great that their sanctuary didn't burn down, but when their office building burns down and fire is set at the altar, I mean, that desecrates the space to a degree, and it's just a threatening feeling. So may God bless that church, the Byron Church, as they continue to come together around a new identity outside of the United Methodist Church. And if there are people who are so angry as to set fires about it, then pray that God would still their hearts and calm their spirits, and that cooler heads will prevail as local churches figure out what covenant loyalties they need to have.